What is up, everyone? I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ishaan and welcome to the video. Man, this past weekend was crazy busy again, and I had an exam earlier this morning and I had to do a quiz for another class. So man, I've just been grinding everything out right before the break. And let me take y'all back to a story, man. In high school, I just couldn't wait to go to college and like grow up, because I always felt like that a lot of people around me were a bit immature, and I just felt like if I was ahead in life in terms of like, going to college earlier on, then I would be around people who are more mature. But what I've come to realize that now that I'm in college and almost fucking done with it, which is just insane, is that people are still, man, they're still immature. They're ready to jump to conclusions, and there's just never gonna be a way around it. Like, I feel like at this point, immature people just put aside the things that they don't want to deal with, and they are definitely not like willing to have mature conversations and just want to push shit to the side. And like recently, I feel like I've had a couple of instances where I felt disrespected through no fault of my own. And man, like it just takes me back to high school, because in high school I was disrespected a lot of times without really even realizing it, and that's partially because of the precedent that I used to set back then. But since then I've grown a lot, and I make sure that when I feel disrespected in any sort of manner, that I'm not just sitting there and listening to it quietly, and I'm able to speak up for myself and stand up for myself. And in today's video, I want to go over 2 things that you can do to deal with that disrespect and make sure that you're setting yourself up in a way where you won't be disrespected in the same or similar manner again. Number 1, start respecting yourself. I want to preface everything by saying that when you feel disrespected, man, like, you don't really necessarily have to hold a grudge or lash out on someone, and like, you can take your time to process your feelings and hold on to those feelings for some time if you really feel the need to or have to. But at some point you have to let it go, because it's not doing you any good, and it's not going to continue to do you any good if you just hold on to those feelings. But in order to make sure that you're not ending up in similar situations again, you're gonna have to start respecting yourself by setting clear boundaries that you feel comfortable with. If someone's only hitting you up when they need something, and whenever it's time for you to ask them for something and they're not there, or they're only there when it's convenient for them, man, you can conclude that that person is definitely just trying to leech off of you, take advantage of what you have to offer them, and they're only gonna roll around when they feel like it's easy for them and they can actually do it when it's convenient. Now, that's not to say that people don't have busy lives, but if you're putting in a lot of effort into a friendship or some type of relationship, and in return there's not even like a similar reciprocation of even the same base level of effort, then you just gotta set up boundaries, because it's not going to be an easy thing to do, but it's going to be a necessary thing that's going to benefit you in the long term. Setting up boundaries can be a super uncomfortable conversation, but usually when I need to or want to set up boundaries with my friends or in any sort of relationship, I usually use a lot of I statements, and that's to make sure that I'm expressing how I feel rather than pointing fingers or putting blame on other people. And while you're having this conversation about boundaries or talking anything out, you gotta notice how receptive the other person is about how you're expressing your feelings, because that can also tell you whether that person is actually invested in the friendship or they just care about what you have to offer them. All I'm trying to say is that you gotta start respecting yourself by outlining boundaries that are healthy for you. Number 2, cut out the toxic people. Now, this is definitely easier said than done, especially if you're in a small friend group setting, or like a small campus or a small school where you're gonna run into that other person pretty frequently. But if they're not willing to have a mature and adult conversation with you, then pretty frankly, they're not really deserving of your time and effort. If you're still watching this video, then chances are that you probably felt disrespected by someone at some point, and you either didn't know how to deal with it or what to do, or the other person just gaslit you into believing that it was your fault. Man, Developing clear boundaries is the first step to ensure that you're creating a safe space for yourself in that friendship or relationship. And if the other person continues to violate those boundaries, then they gotta go, man. That person is definitely not worthy of your time, and they're never really gonna be there for you, and they're gonna continue to take advantage of you as long as you let them be a part of your life. You have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, even if it means letting go and cutting out the toxic people in your life. Wrapping this video up here, if you continue to have mature conversations and set up boundaries, then you're just going to be more likely to respect the other person in the friendship or relationship, and in turn feel more respected. And being able to have these uncomfortable conversations also allows you to self-affirm that you can actually handle anything that comes your way, and if a problem does arise, you can work through it, or at least try to work on it. But at the same time, you got to realize that friendship or relationship, it is a two-way street, and if the other person continues to demean you and violate your boundaries that you've set out, then you got to cut them out. Anyways, that is all I got for this video. If you made it this far into it, I just want to say I appreciate you so much, and thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications, because I release 2 new videos every single week, and I'm gonna catch you all in the next one.